If you're thinking about moving to Boulder in 2026, this video is going to help save you time, money, and possibly a major mistake. Sure, Boulder looks pretty perfect on Instagram. You see the trails, the mountains, all the beauty, Pearl Street. But before you pack up and move here, there's a few things that you need to understand. In this guide, I'm going to walk you through a whole host of things, including the cost of living, the weather, the fire awareness, the bubble effect of Boulder, the schools, the parks, the real ins and outs, the work from home culture, everything that really makes living in Boulder what you need. And this is going to be the real version, not the brochure version, the lived-in version. I'm Michael with Lovato Properties. I've been here for over 25 years. Let's dive in. So we'll start with the obvious. Boulder is expensive. Here at the beginning of 2026, a single family home, really a starter home, can range between $1.1 and $1.3 million. That's pricey. Above that, for an updated, larger, more modern home, you're gonna be in the $1.5 to $2.5 million range. That's about where roughly our luxury point starts, and that even goes higher. So sometimes you'll see homes $3, $4, $5 million that don't appear to be mansions, and then well beyond that for the ultra luxury. I'm saying this because it can be expensive. Now, what about townhomes, attached, and condos? Those dwellings are even a little bit more pricey here because you have high HOAs. And I'm not talking about the HOAs that give you a ton of amenities. I'm talking about just the basics. It's not uncommon to have an HOA that's $500 and they really don't do much for you except a little exterior insurance and maintenance. I bring this up because you want to have that in mind. Utility costs, insurance costs can also be quite high here. And that's because we do have some risk of wildfire here. That's not the only reason, but it's one of the drivers. So you're looking at a little bit of a higher utility cost as well as the housing itself. Now let's just say this. It is going to buy you more than just a dwelling to live in. It's going to buy you access to all of this. The outdoors, easy, run out your front door and walk the dog in the most beautiful spot you've ever been. Hiking, riding, running, any of those outdoor activities, so accessible. You're paying for that and you're dwelling. But if that stretches your budget, Boulder might not be the best fit for you. And another great point, Boulder neighborhoods are very different. So while geographically it's quite a small town, it's very diverse in the areas of town you can choose to live in. I'll give you some examples. North Boulder, on the north part of town, is kind of that classic Boulder vibe. You have really easy access to some of these wonderful trails, Wonderland Lakes, Sanitas, and then also getting out of town to the north on Broadway. North Boulder has its own cultural vibe. It's obviously pretty easy access to everything, but it's very distinct, especially when you compare it to South Boulder. So if you jump all the way to the other side of Broadway, down by Table Mesa, you've got a different vibe there for sure. It's only 6 miles away, but you're gonna have a very family-focused environment, great walkable schools that are high on the list of excellence here in Boulder Valley School District. You've also got access to Mesa Trail, easy access to skiing. You can sit right down 93 to get on I-70. You've got great and easy access to Denver and to the airport. So that's Table Mesa and South Boulder. What about Central Boulder? Central Boulder, and that's kind of a vague term, but when you talk about Central Boulder, you're gonna have more expensive homes. Some of those historic zones are in that Central Boulder, very walkable to Pearl Street, to the restaurants, the shops, all that cool cultural experience you can get in that central corridor. So that's a whole nother vibe, completely, and could not be any more different to the two I just described in advance of it. And then as you start to wander out east, if you're Northeast Boulder, out here by the reservoir, huge lots, tons of kind of rural properties, big farms, big properties that are single family, and then south of here, still on the east side of town, great big lots, very flat, very bikeable, still good access to center amenities such as Pearl Street and those restaurants we mentioned, but also just a whole different vibe. That's only hitting 4 of our kind of classic zones. If you want to see more, we're gonna ask you to scroll down on this channel because you're gonna see neighborhoods highlighted very in depth and you can kind of check on all of them at your own pace. So before moving here, you need to understand which part of town fits your lifestyle, not just which home fits your budget. So outside of price and neighborhoods, the third thing you really want to focus on is the fact that it's a great work remote area. So what I mean is, I've heard from a lot of clients that say, look, I can work from anywhere, so why not be in a place like Boulder? It really draws that crowd in, folks that just work remotely. We do have folks that are in the tech industry, biotech industry, aerospace. We've got outdoor industry companies that come here, and actually really everything in between. CU Boulder and a big research contingent comes in as well. So when you look at that, you're going to hear all these things and other areas, other industries, but what that tells me is it's quite competitive. So finding a job here can be a little bit difficult. And that's because we're not a huge metro area, even like Denver, we're much smaller. So it can be very competitive, but you do trade that off. So if you're working remotely, Boulder can be a great option. You just might want to have that job before you come here. So what about schools and family life? Well, this is a really big one for Boulder. The Boulder Valley School District is one of the best in Colorado and even ranks nationwide. From elementary to middle all the way to high school, our schools each have a very unique personality. So there's really something for everyone. It's kind of staggering. And in fact, if you want to know more information about our elementary schools, again, I've got that video where we talk about each one a little bit further down the channel. Take a look there. But what I'm saying is, you hear this all the time. We have a great walk to school vibe, bike to school vibe, and just a really nice school community. So if that is on your radar, I think you want to dive in and research that a little further and understand your options here. While it does matter if you want to walk to school, where you buy, and you may pay a premium for being in those certain school district or school neighborhoods, you have to also understand quickly that you can open enroll to most of these schools. So you can try to get into pretty much anything in Boulder. But then outside of school, our parks and our after-school activities are awesome. You can truly find anything for your kid to do, from art to all the sports. Also, you've got science activities, after-school science, and then just general tutoring. A lot of kids here just really want to strive for the best, so you've got all that as an after-school environment. Really, from a family and a school standpoint, you're top-notch in Boulder. Another area where you really want to be aware is with regard to the weather. And together with the weather goes the possible fire risks that we have here in Boulder. So we do get 300 plus days of sunshine in Boulder, and that can be middle of June and middle of February. It's always going to be there. Even if you have a few cloudy days, the sun finds its way back. That being said, we do have 4 distinct seasons here. We do properly have a cold winter, a spring, a summer, and a beautiful fall. All the seasons can bring big temperature changes as well. So if you have a snowstorm on February 5th, February 6th could be 60 degrees and sunny. That's very common. So if you don't like those temperature swings, you may want to consider somewhere else. If you're all about that and you want to be in flip-flops one day and snow boots the next, Boulder could be just right. And then I did mention fire risk. We do have a little bit of an arid climate here, and so with that comes some drought conditions at times, and we do get these fires. Our winds that kick up here can be pretty powerful. And so all that is to say, you want to be aware of just the mitigation and the preventative measures you can take. So Wildfire Partners is an organization that will come through and check out your property if you live anywhere outside the city limits or somewhere where you may have some open space near you, and they can just help you take those steps to make sure your home is protected. But beyond that, you also want to make sure, again, I've said this once, I'll say it again, that you have great insurance. That covers everything you have. So things to think about, the weather, the fire, it all factors in to when you're living in a spot like this in Boulder. Another spot where I want you to focus before you come here is with regard to access and convenience. Now, I'm not talking about trail access or convenience to your next run. What I'm talking about is convenience to the airport. We're not that close. We're probably anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes to Denver International Airport. Well, that can be a hassle, and that's in front of all your time at the airport. So not super convenient in that regard. Also, what about our grocery stores? Well, we're not that big of a town, but if you pop into Safeway or Whole Foods at those rush hour times, watch out. We get super crowded and it can be a little bit cutthroat. I've seen some serious battles in the parking lot and in the produce aisle. And I'm not kidding, it is a little bit busy. And then otherwise, if you're just talking about, hey, some of those big sporting events or even the big shows, the concerts, they're not that easy to get to here. You've got to figure out transportation to Denver, because while we do get some awesome shows here and some awesome events, CU football games, for example, you don't have those big international crowds, the big musicians and the professional sports teams. They're not here in Boulder. So access to those, a little challenging. And definitely before you move here, you need to know about the Boulder culture. Inside the Boulder bubble, what's the vibe like? Well, I can tell you, it's awesome, but you're gonna watch out for a couple spaces here. In the health space, it can be pretty intense. In the outdoor space, the competition can be quite high. And what about your educational space? Well, guess what? Super high level here. That means you may find people that have multiple PhDs and they're not even working in the space where they earned them. And then we've also got that entrepreneurial spirit. It's very strong. So that is good and bad. It uplifts you, but it can also be a little bit depressing if you're trying to start a small business, because so many people thrive in that space. The bottom line is, if you are someone that thrives on a little bit of excellence or a little bit of competition, Boulder can be great. But if that puts you down, it may hurt a little bit. It may sort of dampen your spirit or your drive to thrive. So if you're thinking about moving here, what's the biggest question you have? Drop the question in the comments here and I'll get back to you. And if you're wondering, who is Boulder perfect for? Well, the short list includes folks that want that easy access to outdoor activities, people who thrive in a little bit of a competitive driven environment, striving for some excellence. Also folks that want that community vibe, that community connection, because we do have that here in Boulder. A lot of like-minded people gravitate to this town. And then also folks that just really value sort of lifestyle over square footage. Square footage is irrelevant when you've got all this outdoor play space and great people to connect with. So if that's you, you've found the right spot. And then of course, the people that are financially prepared. You want to be able to clear the hurdle of what it costs to live here in town. And I'm going to say this right away. This town is not for you if you are looking for a big, exciting, nightlife, thriving metropolis. If that's what you want, you might consider Denver. It's not the place for the person that wants a big house, big bang for their buck, real affordable, lots of luxury. If you want that, you might look at Erie. And then if you're looking for a mild, predictable climate, kind of mellow, you might not be in Colorado at all, but certainly not in Boulder. I would encourage you to look maybe in Arizona. I think it's pretty mild there. So if we're talking about financial constraints, Boulder might not be the best place to go. If you're on a little bit of a more limited budget or a more modest budget, but you still want to be here in Boulder County, perhaps consider Longmont, which is going to still give you more bang for your buck. And great access, great community, still all those perks for being in Boulder County, but not the price tag of Boulder proper. So as you can tell, Boulder's not perfect, but if it is the right time in your life, it can be absolutely transformative to live here. And if you're considering a move and you want to understand better the timing, the trade-offs, the neighborhoods, the ins and outs, well, I'm Michael with Lovato Properties, and I would sure love to help you go through those decisions. Just reach out to me via DM, comment, or pick up the phone and call. I'm here for you.